2 life-changing books for 2025. And I don't say that lightly. This is not clickbait. I'm not here to just make an over-the-top title just to get your attention. I really believe these 2 books have the ability to change your life. And the reason is very simple, because my opinion is that in order for your life to change, first you have to change. See, we're the ones who are living our lives. And if we're gonna operate with the same person, how can we expect our life to have any different results, to be any different? First, there has to be a change within here. And when there's a real change within here, as a byproduct, as a matter of just automatically, organically, our life will change because the person living that life will be different. It's foolish to think that the person living your life can remain exactly the same and expect different results in life, and that's a trick. They say the biggest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. I think the biggest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing you your life could change without you actually changing first. And that's why I chose these 2 books, because I really believe these 2 books, I'm not saying there aren't other books, but these 2 that I've focused on this year were really books that targeted what's going on here. And I felt that they have the ability, if a person reads them with a willingness and a real desire to change, they can actually change what's going on here. And then automatically you'll just see a change in your life because you're going to be different. And one of them is very well known. The other one is criminally unknown. It's just so sad that this book isn't known. And not only this book, the author is not as known as he should be. He deserves so much more credit and so much more exposure. So hopefully, I'll be able to get him out there a little bit. He's way dead. He lived in the 1800s and into the 1900s, but maybe it's just he lived so long ago that people don't realize that real wisdom is not just the regurgitated books you see today. So many books today, they're just regurgitated, watered down versions of the real wisdom that the greats wrote a little bit earlier. And I rather go to the source. I don't need today's flowery writing. I don't need someone to catch my attention with their writing style. Give me the raw wisdom. That's what I care. I'm not here to be entertained by a book. I'm entertained by the fact the book is giving me value, not by the way it's written, if it's written in some crazy catchy way. So the first book is the more known book that I'll talk about, and it's called Mindset by Dweck. And I find it amazing that this book evaded me for so long. I've been reading self-help books for a long time, and I've read many, many books. And for some reason, this book, I haven't read it till this year. And it's not because I knew about it or I had it on my shelf and I just didn't read it. It's because I really didn't get exposed to it till recently, till 2024. And I heard about it maybe in passing, but I never really got exposed to it. And I listened to it on YouTube. It's free on YouTube. You can go on YouTube and just put in Mindset audiobook and it'll come up. And this book is just, I fell in love with the book because it just talks about your mindset and shows you how everything going on in your life is really rooted in the mindset that you have. And Dweck talks about 2 types of mindset, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And there have been a lot of videos made on this book and on the premise of the book. Just in short, a fixed mindset is someone who believes that who they are is fixed. You're born a certain smartness. You're born talented to a certain degree. And whoever you are, you're set in stone. And this may sound extreme, but it creeps into a lot of people's lives. And they think, okay, you either have it or you don't. You're either a natural or you're not. And they don't realize that there's a lot of room for growth. And it's not just either you have it or you don't. And that's the fixed mindset, which is crippling, debilitating, and paralyzing. And then you have the growth mindset, where people understand that no matter what you want, you can learn and you can change and you can grow into that person who you want to be. It's not either you just have the it factor and if you weren't born with it, you're done, you're doomed forever. It's a life of growth and it's a way to process life. And one really important thing that I felt was something that really, really resonated with me is the ability to process failure. Dweck explains that people with a fixed mindset, they really do poorly with processing failure, because when these people fail, they connect the failure to their identity, because they identify themselves with their successes. They don't think there's room for growth, so they have to succeed. And if they don't succeed, it's an indication that they're failures. And this is the most toxic, dangerous thing a person could do, to link your failures with your identity. Because what happens is that when you fail, you think it's a reflection of you as a person. And then you look at yourself as a failure. And then your self-esteem goes down, your self-image tanks. And then how are you going to perform in the future when you think you're a loser and when you think that you can't do it? So linking your failure to your identity is actually cancer of the mind. It's a cancerous mindset. And I love the quote from Zig Ziglar. He says, failure is an event, not a person. The way I look at failure is, okay, I messed up. At that moment, I dropped the ball. At that moment, I didn't do what I could have done. But that doesn't indicate anything about me. Maybe I just didn't know enough. Maybe it's just I made a wrong plan. Maybe I just didn't try hard enough. What does that say about me? It says nothing about me. Because right now, I can learn more and change. Right now, I can invest more power and energy in something and be successful. Right now, I can do whatever I want. So my failures never indicate anything about me as a person. They're just things that I did that didn't work out. You could change the things you do and it will work out. It has nothing to do with me. I never look at a failure that I go through as an indication about anything about me as a person. And that's why, you know what, I can navigate through these failures and I don't let them really bog me down. I just look at them without emotion. I can learn from them and then I can go forward. So I think the reason Mindset is a life-changing book is because your mind is your processor. And just like I said, imagine you have this fixed mindset about failure. We all fail, right? We all go through temporary defeat and failure. We mess up. If your mindset is going to attach that failure to you as a person and then cripple you because now you think you're a loser and you're not going to try again and there's no point and you're never going to change, you could have all the raw talent in the world. You could have all the abilities and potential in the world, but your mind just put you in a jail cell. Your mind doesn't allow you to use your knowledge, your talents, your capabilities, your potentials, because your mind crippled you. Your mind put you in these imaginary shackles. So who cares how smart you are? Who cares what your potentials are? Your mind is the processor. And if it processes life and failure and success and all these things the wrong way, you're doomed. So the way you change life is by changing how you process life. A lot of times life goes sour because you're processing it in the wrong way. And that causes you now to interpret your life a certain way. And based on that interpretation, you're going to act a certain way. And if the interpretation is wrong, the way you're going to act and approach is going to be wrong as well. So if you want to change your life, it's not really just about changing the circumstances. It's about changing the way you process those circumstances. When you process them correctly, now you'll be able to deal with life correctly. You'll be able to make the right decisions. You'll be able to do the right things in order to get you where you want to get, because you're processing what happens to you in the right way. Your processor isn't corrupt, And that's why I think Mindset is really life-changing. It works on how you process life. It's a change within here. It's not you just staying the same and now having a different schedule and now adding, another workout routine. Yeah, those are great. But maybe there's a reason you're not working out. And if you don't take care of that reason within you, so you could try to fight against the tide as much as you want, but at the end of the day, the tide is going to win. So instead of fighting against the tide, why don't you get the tide working for you? And that's how the way you do that is by changing your mindset. You change your mindset in a way where your mind is actually pushing you towards success because it's processing life the right way, in a successful way, and now you're going to act in a successful way, and that's how you actually become successful. So that's really the first thing that I want to recommend. Mindset. Like I said, it's free on YouTube. You don't even have to buy it. Don't take my word for it. Listen to an hour of it. And if you don't like it, just move on to the next book. But if you do, you'll get hooked. I've read this book over 2 times. I'm in the middle of my 3rd time reading it. I've even read it with my son. We've listened to the audiobook together, and it's just amazing. It's really, really life-changing. The second book that gets no attention, unfortunately, is written by Orison Swett Marden. And he lived in the 1800s, I think into the 1900s. I read about him. He has a Wikipedia page. I just forgot the exact dates of his life. And the book is called How to Get What You Want. It's a little bit of a misleading book title, but as you can see from all these sticky notes, there were so many things that I felt, I got to go back and read this. This is something important. And the reason I think this book is life-changing, again, I'm not over-exaggerating here. I think it's life-changing because there's so much in this book that deals with self-discovery. There's so much in this book that talks about getting to know the real you that you haven't discovered yet. And just as a glimpse into why I love this book so much, part 7 has a chapter called How to Find Oneself. And he opens the chapter saying, "Few men find themselves before they die." That's a quote from Emerson. And that quote alone should just shake us up. Few people find themselves before they die. That means you could live your whole life. You could live 120 years, but you haven't found you. And that's a terrifying thing to think about. I am me. How did I not find myself? And the other chapter, if anything in this book, there's one thing that I would want you to read, it's this paragraph. And I'll read it to you. It's only a few lines. He says here, "One of the most difficult things in the world is to get people to realize the extent of their latent powers, to believe in their own bigness, in their own possibilities." When I read that, I just fell in love with those lines because I said to myself, wow, look how eye-opening that is. Go to someone who just doesn't believe in themselves. They have a low self-esteem, a low value for themselves, for what they're capable of. Maybe they failed in the past. They haven't seen success. They were criticized as kids. They were, verbally beaten up, and told that they're nothing and they have nothing to offer the world, and they just don't believe in themselves. Go tell that person that they could be great. Go tell that person that they have sleeping potential like they've never dreamed before in their life. To tell someone such a thing who doesn't believe it, and to make them believe something about themselves that they just don't see, is probably the hardest thing in the world. And when he said that, I was just like, wow, that's so sad. You have people that are capable of so much. There's so much sleeping within them, and you can't even convince them of it because they don't see it in themselves, and they won't believe you for seeing it in them. And that's really, really tragic. And the reason he says here, the reason is that they see only a part of themselves because they have only partially discovered themselves. And to me, that's life-changing, because if I want my life to change, I have to discover new parts of me. So I think I know Ronan. There's a 2024 version of Ronan and the one that lived up till today, right? But guess what? I can only operate based on the Ronan that I know, the Ronan that I have gotten to know, that I can assess. And if my assessment of Ronan is wrong, because I think Ronan is a Toyota Corolla, but really if I pop the hood, I'll see that there's an engine of a Lamborghini there, it won't matter what's really under the hood. It matters what I think is under the hood. It matters what I think my top speed is, because I'm not even going to bother pressing on the gas because I think, what's the point? I have a motor of a Toyota Corolla. I don't have a Lamborghini. So it's not really about the size or the strength of the motor. It's what we think the motor is that limits us. So to change, you got to discover the real you, the what's hibernating inside here. And through the book, he has another phraseology, which he calls the great within. And I fell in love with that term because, I like nature, Grand Canyon. I remember I was flying to Nevada and we were passing over the Grand Canyon, and the pilot said, "Oh, guys, if you want to see the Grand Canyon, it's on your right." And we happened to have been sitting on the right side of the plane. And I just looked at it and I was like, wow, this is an aerial view of the Grand Canyon. It's endless. Even from an aerial view, it's unfathomable. The size of the Grand Canyon, it's so vast. It's so great. And then when I read The Great Within, I just got this depiction, this image that there's a Grand Canyon within us. There's something so vast, something so great that we don't even know because we never discovered it. We've never took that voyage to what's inside here. And if you don't know what's inside here, how are you going to operate with all your capabilities? How are you going to even realize all your potential when you don't even know who you are? You can't connect to yourself if you don't know who you are. So to me, life is not about living life. It's about discovering who I am. And when I do, I'll be able to live life to the fullest. When I know myself to the fullest, I'll be able to live life to the fullest because I know who I am and I'll operate based on who I know I am. So if we want to change our life, we first have to discover who we really are, get to know us, and to think that we'll live this entire life without really getting to know us, going to different restaurants, trying new food, thinking about if there's life on other planets, but we never went and traveled inside here to see what's in this great within. What are these sleeping powers that I have in me that I've never gotten to know? What about all that noise that I heard, that I'll never make it, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I don't have these potentials? What if they're all just lies? What if we just don't trust anyone else and take that voyage inside here and see what's really under the hood? What engine really is under the hood? We've never looked. Many people, they could just live a distracted life without stopping to think what's inside here. And it's great. It's a great within. So that's why I think these two books are life-changing, because the point of them is to change us. And when we change, our life changes. Don't fall for the trap that you think your life will change, but you could stay the same. Don't waste your time with that. These two books, this one as well, are free on YouTube. I'm not gaining anything by you reading them. I'm just sharing what changed me, what has helped me. I recommend these two books to a lot of people, a lot of close friends, a lot of people who want to grow. They tell me, what should I read? There's a lot of things they should read, but two really important ones that are on the top of my list are Mindset and How to Get What You Want from Orison Swett Marden, both free on YouTube. There's no reason not to give it a try. So that's what I have for you today. I want to go through more books towards the end, towards 2025. I want to just give people some more books that haven't been spoken about in our community, the self-help, self-growth community. There's a lot of good books out there that people aren't talking about. They're either older, so they don't know about them, and it's just a shame, because people should know more, because they should have access to these books. They're so good. So that's the video for today. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I would like to hear what your life-changing books are. If you in the comments want to tell me what you thought was life-changing, I would love to explore new books, things I haven't read. And I think it's all about growth. We're here to grow together. I offer two books that I think you would grow from. I would love to know what you think I could grow from, or other people reading the comments would grow from. And subscribe for more, because I will have another video tomorrow.